I was really hoping that because it was a Saturday, there would be all these non-controversial, easy bills and we could just vote and go home. But oh no, it was weird bill day in the Montana House of Representatives. I think that honestly it was almost on purpose that the theme of the day was all of these weird bills. House Bill 87 was great. I was so excited to see it come out of Business and Labor, and it allows for rate review by our state insurance auditor, so that now we can have state review of insurance rates. House Bill 147 strengthened trespass laws, and on reading it, it was something that I would have voted for, except for two things. I had a ton of emails from actual Butte people that I know, some that I don't know, saying do not vote for this. They were sportsmen, they were professors, they were people that I trust, and my constituents. And the bill did several different things. It increased the fine for first offense of trespassing, which I'm for. It allowed for recovery of damages to property from a trespasser, which I'm for, but it also allowed a judge to suspend a first-time trespasser's license for 3 years, and that's too harsh. If that alone wouldn't have been in there, I think that I would have voted differently. House Bill 178 was a driver's ed bill that I got a lot of emails on from driver's ed instructors here in Butte. House Bill 244 was a weird well bill. It said that sometimes landowners purposely drill a well really close to their property lines so that they keep their neighbors from using their land as they would like to. And so the sponsor of the bill stood up and said, "This is a private property rights bill. You have to vote for it." And someone stood up against the bill and said, "Yeah, you're exactly right. This is a personal property rights bill, and that's why no one can vote for it." I think a good example is if one person's septic system drain field is going onto or under another person's land, the person whose land is affected could drill a well and keep their neighbor from having their septic drain field there. But I think it got voted down, and it's because it is a private property rights bill, and we have no business telling any private property owner what they can do with their land. House Bill 247 was the Roadkill bill. So now you can hunt with your truck. Not from your truck, you can hunt with your truck. So if you run into a deer, an antelope, an elk, a moose with your vehicle and kill it and call law enforcement, they can issue you a tag that allows you to harvest that animal either for personal consumption or for a donation to a food bank. Uh, 256 was a landowner notification bill, and it was a repercussion of MATL, M-A-T-L, the proposed power lines that had a lot of Montana residents up in arms. So now if you are a property owner that lives within the 1 mile wide corridor of a proposed project like a power lines, then you have to be notified either by certified mail or in person of the completed environmental impact. And the company pays the bill of doing that. But of course, some of these topics cannot even be brought up. They can't even be mentioned without both sides having to talk about them a little bit and get in their 2 cents. So even though I think we almost all voted for it, there still had to be some discussion about it. 278 reduced the waiting time between when you get a bear tag and when you can actually use your bear tag. 290 this is the gem of the day. So Jerry O'Neill introduced a Jury Nullification Act, and he called it the Larry Dodge Fully Informed Jury Act. So I want to assign you a little bit of homework. I want you to go look at the Fully Informed Jury Association and learn about jury nullification. And you have to go back and watch the video of the floor session today. It was great. These self-pronounced constitutionalists had this scripted testimony for the floor about how important this is, and they don't know, clearly don't know the purpose or the scope of our court systems and don't understand our Constitution, or like to take out little tidbits of the Constitution and use them out of context. And I was so proud of the Democrat representatives that stood up today. Jen Gursky stood up and started talking to the bill, and a guy from across the aisle said, point of order, and asked the chair of the day to rule whether or not Jen was speaking to the bill or way outside the scope of the bill. The chair of the day said she's speaking to the bill, so Jen was allowed to finish. Ellie Hill had spoken up and said, hey, I'm an attorney, and this chips away at basically the roots of our democracy, not to be dramatic or anything. And then Jenny X stood up and said, let's talk about who this Larry Dodge is, and think about the person whose name we're putting down in perpetuity in our Montana code, please. And then Kim Duduk stood up and said, hey, I'm an attorney, and let me tell you a couple of examples of what's actually going to happen if you pass this jury nullification law. And the bill went down in flames. It was voted against by like a ratio of 2 to 1. And so I guess another bit of homework, I would say go and look at the vote record for this bill. And if you want to see the difference between extreme factions in the Republican Party, the people who voted yes for this today maybe should not be getting their jobs back next time. The people who voted no are perfectly reasonable people. I'm definitely partisan in these videos, but I'm not saying that they're all bad and none of them know what they're talking about. This vote on House Bill 290 was a huge win for just reason and sanity and logic. And it also very clearly shows who is crazy and who is a fairly reasonable human being. House Bill 330 limits the collection of ID, personal identification, through the court system, and Senate Bill 11 revised the appropriation of federal highway dollars around urban areas. Glad to be back. I'll see you again on Monday.